Israel has its own flagship tank, known as the Merkava. Its fifth iteration has entered service as of the start of 2023, but this latest weapon has had decades to build upon. With each new version of the Merkava, there has been an evolution to keep up with the demands of changing warfare, and now, more than ever, technological advances are crucial to get ahead of the enemy. This is why the Merkava V, or Barak model, has been produced. But how did we get to this point? Before we get started, if you do enjoy this video and would like to see more just like it, remember to give us a like and subscribe to Military World to get more sent straight to your notifications. Israel previously used UK and US-made tanks up until the start of the 1970s. These would include British Chieftains and American M48 and M60 tanks. Eventually, it became clear that these tanks were good for some scenarios and terrain, but not for others. It was clear that the country needed to produce a bespoke tank to meet the needs of their military. They needed something that could cope with both the rocky terrain of the Golan Heights, but also the soft, sandy plains of the Sinai Desert. This was further accelerated by difficulties in getting tanks from other nations, like France. General Israel Tal, the so-called father of the Merkava tank, was very clear on what Israel needed, and that was protection. General Tal would reiterate throughout the design process that protection remained the highest priority for the Merkava, and this was never compromised as other features were vetoed. For example, while most tanks designed for the 80s were equipped with a 120mm gun, the first two generations of the Merkava retained the 105mm weapon. Merkava tanks, from the prototype to the Mark IV, share a similar chassis, automotive system, and turret design. The differences are all in the requirement priorities between mobility and firepower. The initial design, which became the Merkava Mark I, showed the basic design. It had a triangular, flat turret with typical armor protection cells installed on both sides of the gun. There was a forward-mounted engine, which allowed the rear to have an access hatch, stores, and flexible reconfiguration options. It took 9 years of development to eventually deliver the first iteration of the Merkava to the Israel Defense Force. This tank used a Teledyne Continental AVDS 1790 6A diesel engine, developing 908 horsepower. At 60 tons, it was slow, but was all about protection rather than mobility. The ammunition for the 105mm gun was stored in special protected containers which hold 4 rounds. This gun is loaded via a rear hatch. The tank had the capacity to carry up to 62 rounds, including APF SDS, heat, HE frag, and smoke rounds. For extra protection, there was a 7.62mm machine gun and 2 more 7.62mm machine guns on top of the roof. The tank could also be fitted with external 60mm mortar, which fired smoke, illumination, or anti-personnel rounds. This tank was widely used in the 1982 Lebanon War, but at this point, the Mark II had already been developed to enter service. The speed of this turnaround was due to continued development based on lessons and feedback from users, rather than a slow and linear operational testing process. The Mark II had new special armor modules installed on the turret's sides and skirts. The tank kept the 105mm gun, but the tank was equipped with improved fire control and optronic equipment, bringing it to the same level of a fully upgraded M60S, while the Merkava offered superior protection. The next evolution took longer to come into force, but the differences were dramatic between the Mark II and third version. It was 7 years, in 1989, before these were introduced. There was another new modular armor concept. This meant that armor could be adapted quickly to evolving threats. The tank upgraded its gun to a 120mm version, produced by Israeli manufacturer IMI. A new 900 horsepower diesel engine was also developed by the German firm MTU. The Merkava Mark III itself went through its own evolutionary process during service and was upgraded at least 4 times. Upgrades were made with different armor configurations as well as different kinds of fire control and optronic systems. These changes were informed by lessons learned through combat experience in Lebanon and Gaza. The Mark III proved to be so effective that the IDF made the decision to phase out the Centurion tank and M60S in favor of an exclusive Merkava force of armored vehicles. This process would be completed in 2005 with the introduction of the Mark IV model. The first major change from the Mark III came courtesy of the gun, the improved MG253. This was upgraded to fire the latest ammunition types, including the APFDS Sabo ammunition. The 12.7mm main machine gun was also improved and fires longer and heavier HE rounds. Like its predecessors, the Mark IV had the latest improvements of modular removable armor and included another fire control upgrade with the addition of the LOP Knight Mark IV fire control system. This was an essential improvement to help with aerial threats. Another advancement included the Elbit battle management system, where interaction and awareness of the battlefield was greatly improved. Protection was improved on vulnerable parts for increasing urban warfare efficiency, including to the turret roof and the belly, in a V-shape to cope with landmines and better deflecting the blast. And now the IDF have improved their flagship weapon further still. The Mark V, or Barak as it is otherwise known, is the latest and most technologically advanced Merkava to date. It's an improved version of the Merkava IV that integrates the latest technologies and innovations in protection and digital combat capabilities. The design of the tank is very similar to the previous models. The driver position is located on the left side of the hull, the turret at the rear of the hull, and the engine at the front. The tank has a crew of 4, including a driver, commander, gunner, and loader. Armament is also similar, with a 120mm smoothbore gun that has been developed by Israel Military Industries to be able to fire high-penetration projectiles and guided shells with a range of up to 4,000 meters. In addition, there's also a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun, a 7.62mm machine gun mounted on the right side of the turret roof, and an internally mounted 60mm breech-loaded mortar. Its engine is greatly improved on early models. It has a V12 diesel engine developing 1,500 horsepower coupled to a rank automatic transmission with 5 forward and 2 reverse gears. This gives it a maximum road speed of 40 miles per hour, about 64 kilometers per hour, with a maximum cruising range of 310 miles or about 500 kilometers, which means the original requirement of protection is still there, but with less compromise on power. Probably the biggest improvement is on the use of smart technology and the integration of the Trophy Active Protection System designed to counter the most advanced anti-tank missiles, rocket-propelled grenades, anti-tank rockets, and high-explosive anti-tank rounds. Trophy creates a bubble around the vehicle to neutralize all of these threats. It can rapidly detect, classify, and engage all known chemical energy threats, including recoilless rifles, ATGMs, AT rockets, heat tank rounds, and RPGs. The new tank also includes new sensors enabling it to lock onto targets and strike them quickly, as well as deploy electronic warfare capabilities and advanced processing systems. Many of the new capabilities have been outlined in the Defense Ministry's Carmel Next Generation Fighting Vehicle program, which was awarded to Israel Aerospace Industries in October 2021. This is the evolution of the Merkava tank, a 5-decade-long journey that was born out of a need for Israel to have their own fighting vehicle for their own terrain. Now, after 5 key iterations, the IDF have produced one of the most robust and technologically advanced fighting vehicles in the world. What are your thoughts on the Merkava? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to Military World to get our latest videos straight to your notifications.